Ask Lena. Say hi in the comments if you're out there, or if you watch this after I was live. What's your biggest barrier to ask for help? Let me know, and maybe we can dismantle it together. I've been part of the chronic illness online community for a really long time, and that difficulty in asking for help comes up again and again and again. And I've kind of noticed three themes to these obstacles. So let's take them one by one. Um, Number one, it's upsetting to need help, and that's often connected to the like you feel like you can't reciprocate, you can't help the other person, which means the whole thing feels kind of, well, your relationship feels unbalanced, that you're a burden. Then the whole burden thing comes in, and then it spirals from there. Second one is I think I said three things, but why there's only two. Anyway, moved on. Oh yeah, I think because those two are connected. But the second thing is also figuring out what to ask for, which leads to, I got, and my notes make sense now, which means to other people's skills, preferences, and availability. Because often, as we know, if somebody says no, then you never ask again, right? So let's go through them one by one. Number one, feeling like a burden. We've all been there. Have you ever twisted yourself, kind of metaphorically anyway, into a pretzel when you've had to ask for help, or been ridiculously effusive when saying thank you, to the point where it feels like you're groveling? And even if it's something relatively small, yeah, it's kind of, you're battling like these feelings that you're supposed to do it all by yourself, that you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you don't, then you're a burden. And part of that is, social pressure around us. It underlies much of our culture, but especially, gotta say, the U.S., because U.S. culture is built on the idea of independence, both societally and individual, about that whole bootstrap thing, self-reliance, all of that. And so I'm sorry to say, regardless of the country you live in, it's crap. It may have been to those to the south of me. It may have been something that was necessary in pioneering days or before, but not anymore. We all rely on someone else or something else. Like our infrastructure, our entire society is based on this. Roads, public transit, grocery store, they all depend on someone else building it, providing it. Let's take grocery shopping, for instance. Um, a grocery going grocery shopping starts so many years and steps before that. It starts with somebody building and opening a grocery store. It starts with somebody else um, taking the food from where it originates and getting it to the grocery store, to someone stocking the shelves. For you to get there depends on having roads that have been built by your city, your state, your province, whatever. If you take public transit, your ability to get there depends on the driver of the bus or train coming to work that day. Going to the grocery store, you may put things in your basket, but you get to the cashier, and if you're dealing with a real life person, somebody else cashes you out. We all depend on someone else all the time. So let's leave that whole, you must be independent, somewhere in the back. So yeah, unless you live in a cabin in the woods off grid and make your living off the land, from a hunter gatherer style, then you will depend on someone else. And it can be really useful to think about that for a while, how much of what you do in a day depended on someone else. Like, drop an example in the comments if you'd like. How did you rely on someone else today? And I think realizing how interconnected and mutually dependent we are in our society can help start dismantling anyway, that voice in your head that says you're worthless if you need help from someone else. Um, and also to remember that human society is built on interdependence. Like we naturally gather in groups. Um, and our whole history has shown that. So, like let's start getting rid of that whole "you must be fiercely independent" thing. I just want to say hi to Robin out there, who says, "Afternoon, my sweet warrior sister. Thank you very much. I am feeling rather warrior-esque today. Let's dismantle it. Let's get on the barriers and make it okay to need help from someone else. Um, the next aspect of this, feeling like you can't give back, which means you don't have an equal relationship, which means you're a burden if you need help. And this is also crap. I'm just dismantling everything today. I'm like, we rarely help each other in the same way or at the same time, even. We help each other based on skills and preference and availability. And that means you still help others. Let's take a look at, for instance, the idea of helping someone move, right? So, helping someone move is usually a really physical task, and you may not be able to do that. Um, but you can do other things. You can be the person um, who finds, the top three excellent moving companies in the country, or find a good rate for a truck you rent, or give your friend a one page with all the phone numbers of where they need to call to get utilities. All of those are just as valuable as carrying the back end of a sofa. But the sense of I can't give back used to really trip me up. And it was thanks to a friend of mine that I realized that, yeah, I might not be able to help in a physical sense in many ways, but I did a bunch of other things. Like I was really good. Like when somebody had surgery, I was really good at coming and sitting by the bedside when they woke up. I'm really good at sitting being with a sick person. I'm really good at researching. I had a friend who desperately needed a particular spring related flower, but needed it in October. And I found this for her. Um, and I'm good at the research and all of that. So I'm the person that people call at 2 o'clock in the morning when they kind of like feel like, when all the darkness overwhelms. So I help as much as someone else, but in different ways and at different times. Um, and I think it's a lovely one. I can't understand my own notes. Yeah. So what are some of the ways you help others? Like, what are some of the ways you have kind of said, all right, this is the way I give to a friendship. Robin says, I love helping others, but find it very difficult to ask for help myself. I'm not a good example. And well, it's a process, right? Like, I don't think I know anybody who's good at this, but I think it's kind of about gradually chipping away at it. And that's what today is about. So here's another kind of thing you may not have realized. Letting the people who care about you help you is an act of love. And I know that a bunch of you sitting out there are going to go, what are you talking about, crazy lady? Um, you know this from seeing somebody you care about being in pain or being sick. It is devastating. It's heartbreaking to not be able to do anything, to not wave a magic wand to make it go away. And the people who care about you feel the same way about you. So given that most of us are not friends with, fairy godmothers or magicians with the wand, giving people something to do that helps you, even if they can't take away your illness or your pain, but if they can help you have a slightly better day, that's tremendous. It means you give them something to do, something to actually make a difference in your life. So think about it that way, that it's like you're actually giving people a real gift by saying, hey, I need help. So before the next thing, I want to say hi to Susie, who says, hope I'm feeling good today. I am actually. I have remarkably little stress. It's amazing how taking a month off from most of the responsibility can make you feel really good. No stress. Who knew? Obstacle number 2. You see, this is a 2. Like, that social media thing where it's like, we got to show a finger and then 2 and all that. Like, I just can't do that. So I don't do that. Obstacle number 2. The mix of it is actually combined with obstacle number 3. So number 2 is I don't know what I need, and number 3 is other people's schedules and preferences. That moment when somebody tells you, "Oh, let me know if I can help in any way. Just call me. I'm just a call away. I'll be there." And think, what do you need? And like for me, somebody saying, what do you need, is an instant trigger for my mind going blank. I have no idea. Or it's all like a jumble. And I'm like, well, I need this and I need this and I need this, but how do I pick the one I need the most in all of this, right? So you're kind of feeling unprepared and you say thank you. And really, you have no idea. So you never ask. Or then you get to the point of maybe you ask, but maybe this person is not available or it's something they really want to do. And then it becomes a bad experience to ask for help on both sides, because they say no, and you go, well, then I'm never asking anybody for help ever again, right? We've all been there. And then you motor on yourself and do everything yourself, and then you end up crashing, and it all just, again, spiral. So not only spiral, but you also kind of end up turning in upon yourself like a turtle in its shell, and never ask again, and convinced that people are just, bad people. And of course, some people are selfish arses. Can you say arses and still not be beeped? I don't know, but they honestly tend to be fairly few and far between. Does any of this sound familiar? Let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. But let's talk about getting around some of these obstacles. Although I do want to circle back to, I think we've all realized that having a chronic illness is an excellent way to find out who your real friends are. I know I have been surprised about people who left, people who I thought for sure would stick around, kind of wandered off. And then people I really, like, even people who are acquaintances, or the kind of friends you go to coffee with for some time, ended up being stalwart friends through hard times. Have you had that experience? Let's talk about it. Or maybe that's for next month. You want to talk about that, how to deal with friends. Let me know. I'm always open to new topics if you have something you want to talk about. But how to get around this conundrum, the obstacles, the asking for help. I unfortunately don't have a magic wand that instantly can make you feel better about asking for help. Like, it is very much a process. But I hope the conversation here can be a stepping stone for you to start kind of thinking about that. But I do have a solution for the what do you need and the working around other people's like preferences and schedules. When people and first ask how they can help, it's usually a trigger for that whole mind blank thing. It's really quite magical. You need help with what? So instead, at that moment, say, you know what, I can't think of anything now, but I'll get back to you. And then you make a list. And I made one for you. I'll drop the link either in the post or the comments. I'm not quite sure. I think I actually scheduled this conversation, which means you got a reminder, which is awesome. But I think I also need to drop the link to this. So I should have thought of that before, but please come back and check it. Anyway, this lives in Google Docs. It's a PDF. I called it task list because instead of saying things I need help with, I am catering to that feeling that I don't want to need help, right? So it's a task list. And I've divided it into 4 chores, errands, rides, because we all need a ride sometimes to places, and other, brilliant. But these were the categories I could think of. And, like, you're welcome to use it. You can just print out the PDF at home and fill it out. Or you can use it as kind of, if you prefer to have not a physical list, but an actually like in a notes app, you can use this as inspiration. Things like this, you can put things like ride to the doctor, grocery shopping, picking up groceries that you have ordered. Chores can be things like vacuuming, mowing the lawn, anything that's difficult for you to do. It can be things like wrapping presents, or maybe a regular visit, or maybe the next time they make that pasta dish that you love so much, ask them to make a double portion so you can have something for your freezer. The things you need depends exclusively on you and your life and what it looks like. So start thinking about it. Like, what, for instance, right off the top of your head, what are some things that would help if somebody said, "Don't worry, I'll do this for you"? Like, what are some things that, even though they wouldn't change your entire life, they would make your day a little bit easier? Can you think of anything? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to see. And do you think, like, would something like this be helpful? Like, do you think you'll download this? Would you like some more of this, like free downloadable that can help you do stuff? Let me know, and I will follow through on more of that. So not only does this kind of list help you identify what you need, so you don't need to think about it right at that point, but it can also help you get the need you help and get the help you need. You have a concrete list of big and small tasks. It can be something ridiculously small, or it can be something ridiculously big, or it can be smaller parts of one big task. For instance, 3 years ago, I had to move out temporarily to get my floors done because there was a big flood in my building. And my partner packed up the apartment for me, but he fully admitted that he's good at packing, but he hates unpacking and organizing. That's just not his thing. So then I had a number of other friends where I would call them up and say, "Can I have you an hour of your time to unpack a box or two?" Right? So this is one of the ways you can use it for a big task. Because something like this, you have this list, and you can give it to somebody and say, "Here, pick something," and then they can pick it on the task that they either like doing or have a preference for, have availability for. I think it's important to have a conversation with your friends about how to kind of navigate the helping, right? That talk about how difficult it is to ask. Remember that, everybody likes to be appreciated when they help, but talk about kind of the language you will use, so it doesn't get awkward, so you don't like repeatedly thank them into groveling, right? Talk about what kind of notice they need. Like, for instance, if you need a ride to the doctor, do they need like several weeks notice so they can rearrange their time? And also, I think it's important to talk about a couple more things, like, for instance, the fact that you definitely want to help them, and if they have their own list, it could be useful because makes it easier. But also make sure to talk about that the person helping you, or the person being asked, whether that's you or your friend or your family member, they have the right to say no. Like, they have the right to not have bandwidth, not wanna. Like my partner, who basically said, "I can't pack." I can't unpack and I can't organize because it makes me very unhappy. And I'm like, that's fine. I know people who love the organizing, right? But who would hate packing. So I think it's important to know that you figuring out how you navigate the instance of saying no. Maybe the person isn't available. Maybe this is something they hate doing. Maybe they have a lot of stuff going on in their life and can't help you at the moment. So maybe you need to move on to someone else. And when you use parameters like this, it becomes a lot easier to ask for help. And like, for instance, and it becomes like you basically saying, I have a doctor's appointment on September 28th. Are you available to do a ride? And the person can say, let me check my, like that becomes easier instead of waiting until the last minute, except in emergencies, of course. Having these conversations out in the open and managing the expectations of both people can make it a lot less riddled with weirdness and awkwardness. Are you going to try this? Let me know. Thank you for watching, obviously. And also, if you have any like big things you want to talk about or any questions at all, this is like the Ask Lene. So ask in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. That was it for today. And don't forget, I'll put that downloadable link. I'll go right over and put that in now. So you can always come back. If you need to move on, it will be there in about 15 minutes. give me a moment. I need a cup of tea. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or any comments, just leave them and I'll get to them later. Have a great day.